Hey, it's 5.2, reading 1, Prologue and Parados. And our objective is students will be able to analyze the prologue and Parados of Oedipus Rex. Let's get it. First question I have on your notes is, what's the basic structure of a Greek tragedy? And you might be saying to yourself, Cope, you already asked us this question and answered it, so why do you have it on here again? My answer might be as annoying as the fact that it is on here twice, but the answer is that really that first list of stuff that I showed you was more form than structure. It has to do with the sort of outside organization of a text. The fact that all dramas have a prologue, a parados, scenes and odes, and an exodos. So I don't want to get too nitpicky and say that this is form and what I'm about to talk about is structure, but in essence, that is the case. So let's move on to how the insides are organized. So this would be like the X-ray, right? Structure. This is an important aspect of Greek tragedy. Aristotle said that it was more important even than characters in a Greek tragedy. It's the plot, how the events are ordered and how they interact with each other. So this is a key aspect of Greek tragedy. There's really 6 main components. The first is the exposition, and this introduces important background information. It sets up the rest of the play. Then we have some kind of complication, some kind of problem that creates conflict. Discoveries and reversals are a key aspect to the rising action of a Greek tragedy, where we learn new information, where one thing seemed to be one way, but instead it's the opposite. Peripeteia is another great Greek term, and that is sort of the big reversal, the huge one that comes right before a climax. And this is when, in our play, Oedipus Rex is going to learn for sure something about himself. The climax is the turning point. Sometimes it's described as the highest point of action. But it's at this moment that nothing can go back the way that it was, and everything that follows will be falling action. And then finally we have the denouement, or the resolution, where it's kind of an unraveling of the plot, and things are ended. So as we're reading the play, we will take a look at these 6 elements and kind of try to decide where we think each one happens, because they are important to take note of in order to make sense of the play. Here's a visual where I have the same definitions that I just showed you, but you can see how it all works together. Strophe and antistrophe. I know you have been waiting for the definition of these words since last video. Well, here I am with my chorus line. Now, the Greek chorus did not look like this, but there's a connection, right? This is a chorus line's chorus line. And just like in Broadway productions now, there is often this group of people who move together in unison, dance together, sing together. Well, the chorus in Greek tragedy did just that. They didn't look quite like this, but they were moving together, singing together in the same way. And what they were singing at times were strophic pairs. Now, the play, Greek tragedies, all of them, are written in verse, right? They're poems, essentially, or one ginormous poem broken up into these different parts, not prose. And a strophic pair is a certain type of text in the play that is sung by chorus members, and they work structurally through comparison and contrast. So you have one strophe And then you have, where's my hand? There it is. And then one antistrophe, its opposite. Originally, strophe meant turn, and antistrophe meant turn against. And the chorus would sing and dance the strophe from one side of the stage to the other, and then stop, turn around, sing and dance the antistrophe in the opposite direction. And so the two worked together. They're pairs. Sometimes they have clear contrasts in them. Sometimes they have connections and comparisons. But we're going to really work on analyzing these strophic pairs because they read a little bit more like poems than the rest of the text and will work really well for our guided literary analysis where we're focusing on just a short amount of text using a formalist lens. Strategies for reading this text. First of all, you want to look stuff up. Keep your phone out and come back to these videos often. It's a lot of information I'm throwing on you, and so use the stuff like the resources they are and come back to them. Don't expect your brain to memorize all of this stuff the first time through. Use all of the technology that is here to help you. Also, there are a lot of good online sources about Oedipus Rex. Since it is so old, since it is considered, by Aristotle as the great Greek tragedy, tons of people have written about this, and tons of people have translated it from the original Greek. Almost every time I search for a full text version of the play, I get a different translation. So, it's been written about so much. Let's make use of some of those resources. I especially like this one, and I'll put it in Schoology. This is not an alternative to reading the text, but it is a helpful guide that you can make use of to better understand the text. I will also post some different translations of Oedipus Rex so we can look at how other translators made sense of the original Greek lines, which might be different than our version. And then maybe most importantly, we're going to be marking the text, and I'm going to explain that in the next video. A little bit about Oedipus's backstory. Well, he, first of all, is well known to the audience in Athens that is watching this play performed. He's really a mythological character, someone who, through legend, is well known to everyone. And it's mostly because of him beating the Sphinx. A Sphinx is a mythological creature that has a human head, wings, and a lion's body. It's usually portrayed as female in Egypt and Greece. And in the legend of Oedipus Rex, the Sphinx was destroying the city of Thebes, and everyone, all the heroes were trying to defeat the Sphinx so that they could save the city, but nobody was able to because in order to defeat the Sphinx, you had to answer her riddle correctly. And in our text, we're told that her riddle was what's listed here. There's another version, this one I like even more, what crawls on 4 legs in the morning, 2 at noon, and 3 in the evening. Well, it's man, of course, right? And it wasn't until Oedipus, who came from a neighboring city-state, arrived and answered this riddle correctly, that the Sphinx killed herself and Oedipus saved Thebes. He then marries the queen, who is a widow because the king has died recently. They have a family and are happy. Until one day, there's a terrible plague. Everyone is sick and dying. No one seems to know why. And that is the opening of the play. It opens on a scene where Oedipus is responding to people who have come and brought offerings of wreaths and other things and are asking for help. He then talks specifically to a priest who speaks for the people to describe what is going on. Oedipus tells the priest that he knows about this, that he has already done something about it. And this is another aspect of, I think, the backstory that's important, this idea of an oracle. So an oracle is a person. It actually has two definitions. It's either a person through whom a god speaks, or it's the shrine where this person lives. Okay? So the idea is that an oracle has a direct line to a god and speaks for a god. Or if you go to this shrine, you'll hear from the god. So Oedipus has asked his wife's brother, Creon, to go to the Apollo oracle and find out what is wrong. How can they stop this plague? What do the gods need from mankind so that they will stop the plague? And we're about to find out, causes the rest of the trouble in the play. So enjoy, and the next video is about how I want you to color mark the text.